Hey everybody, John here. So this is my final installment on my boondocking, uh, your safety and security, being safe and secure if you're camping in New Mexico. So in the very first video, I told you to get a couple of things. I told you you should have concealed carry permit, and I told you should download onto your computer or laptop or phone or what have you Google Earth, as well as the overlays that you can find out there for the state you are in that represent the BLM lands and the state lands and the federal lands and all that sort of stuff. In addition to that, you should probably download a couple of topo maps and the reciprocity information about what states you can and can't carry with the carry permit that you have. Okay? Now, some of you are going to come back and say, but John, my documentation says that I am a resident of Florida, but I am work camping in Wisconsin, or I am work camping in South Dakota, or whatever at the moment, and aren't planning on going back to Florida. So what do I do? Well, the fact of the matter is you can get a non-resident concealed carry permit from a number of states that are out there. In fact, my concealed carry permit is issued by the state of Arizona. Now, that's not to say that any state does a better or a worse job of screening you, because I don't think they do. The process takes months on end. But the reason I went with Arizona instead of New Mexico, where I'm an actual resident, is because in our travels around the country, more states will honor an Arizona permit than a New Mexico permit. So I wanted the ability of traveling and not worrying about who's going to honor what. So that's why I went that route. So get yourself a concealed carry permit. No excuses. Next thing, as I mentioned, was download some topo maps. And here's why. Here's what we ran into one night. We were out on the BLM land, and we were looking for a place to camp. And there was so much BLM land. And pockmarked around it are instances of ranches and maybe little communities where people have been living there for the last 300 years, this kind of stuff. We began to second guess the BLM land versus private land and where we could or could not stay. So driving a quarter mile down that dirt road right there and parking in some paddock or some area where they would load horses up once a year or something like that, we began to talk ourselves out of, because as I said, there was too much land to choose from. So we wound up driving about an hour and a half further than we should have, looking for a place that basically is no different than a lot of the places we had already passed. So if we had a topo map, I could have done a recon the night before and said, no, I know for a fact that there are these trails or this road system or whatever in this area, and it's all BLM, and this is good. This is where we're going to camp. And sort of put my foot down. So there's that. I would carry a lot of water. If you're coming here, a lot of people wind up going into areas where they think that they'll be okay for the day, camping or hiking wise, and they wind up dying. And typically that happens mostly with foreigners. For some reason, it's French people die in the desert hiking out there at least once or twice a year. Don't ask me why. What else do I have to tell you? I guess that's about it. The one thing I would say is, my concealed carry weapon is a 380, which is grossly underpowered, and I know it. I wish I had a Charter Arms 44 Bulldog like Son of Sam did, but I don't. Budget constraints. Anyway, But I realized that the mistake I was making was that the rounds I had in my magazine were primarily sort of uh, self-defense in the house kind of rounds. You know what I mean? I can't even remember if they were hollow points or not. But I realized that going up against a 300-pound black bear or something, this is not going to work. And so they make bullets that are uh, uh, strange. Let's put it that way. And so I now have a box of those. And these are the things that are milled out of solid chunks of copper, or have like a ceramic core, or things like this. Things that when they hit just sort of like rip you up, kind of stuff. A lot of mass to them, and really brutal, I guess, with regards to tissue damage. Uh, the thing is that you probably don't want to use those in a personal self-defense kind of situation at home, because you might have trouble explaining to somebody in a legal situation why you're using basically like zombie killing bullets, things that like complete overkill. So I've got two magazines. I've got the Around Town magazine with my regular self-defense ammo in it, and I've got the Going Out in the Woods and Dealing with Critters ammo. And again, that's primarily when I am in a situation where I feel compelled to carry a weapon, but sort of sequester it in a concealed carry manner. Like today, for example, we're not doing the 380. I'm open carrying my Glock, so because I'm on my home turf. Yay, life is good. Uh, but that's about it. That's all I've got. The one thing I would say, let's talk about drugs and hippies and all that sort of stuff for a minute. Uh, there's three different kinds of backpackers. There's a third of the backpackers are the really nice, well-intentioned people who are maybe taking some time off between high school and college, or college and graduate school, or whatever. And this will be like the, I don't know, the yuppie couple. You know what I mean. Work with me on this. So that's a third of them, all right? The middle third is sort of the hippie-ish, I haven't figured things out yet, kind of what I want to do. And those people are a little poorer and a little more opportunistic. But still, they're okay. I don't know if I would pick them up in a hitchhiking environment. And then there's the last third. And the last third is what I would describe as the suppliers and the opportunistics. And by that I mean, when we were in the Gila wilderness, apparently there was a hot springs like 12 miles up into the area, up into the wilderness area there. And we were told by the park ranger that it was sort of a tough area because you had a lot of these hippies up there, hot springing around. That's fair enough. But the opportunistic suppliers, the people who are going up there to sell the stolen Levi's or the guitar or the drugs, are also up there trying to cater to the needs of the people who are camping up there. The opportunistic thugs are the ones who will rob you on the trail. They're the ones you need to worry about and be aware of. I have a picture of one of them, and I'll post it here. So there. That's about all I've got. If you got any questions, let me know. Otherwise, I'm happy to report that today's Friday, and probably Monday or Tuesday, we're heading to Arizona for a big clockwise loop around before it gets too hot over there. So, if you have any questions about Arizona, let me know about that too. All right, we'll talk to you. Shelko, we're out. Thanks. Bye.